Hello and welcome to Boomer 11 Live. Today, again, we are back covering FIFA World Cup in Qatar 2022. It's just 3 days to go now, rather 2 days to go. We're very close, or in a few hours, it'll be 2 days to go right here in India. I mean, I don't know, depending on where you guys are, I think that it might differ here and there, but excitement definitely is not different for us here or for you guys as well, we hope. Uh, Welcome to Boomer 11 Live once again. Before we begin, Boomer 11, remember, guys, it is a risk free fantasy experience which can be downloaded on Google App Store or, uh, I mean, not Google App Store, but has a Google Play Store or Apple App Store. I have with me Abel on the show. Abel, welcome. Today, we'll be covering Argentina, the 2014 finalists, came very close to winning the title, in fact, inches where Messi hit the post, but it had to be Germany that year. Could this be the year that is Germany's? Because that could this be the year that is Argentina's rather? Because it has been predicted by countless pundits. It has been also predicted by a supercomputer and FIFA 23. So, Abel, is this the year for Argentina?
Firstly, pleasure to be back again on the show, and of course, talking about Argentina, we know they've had a great history when it comes to World Cup triumphs, and they've been always that weightage has always been there on this team every time they step on the park. Right, they have to go out there and put in their best performance, and it's not going to be easy. Let's be very honest. Regardless of what supercomputers and every pundits are going to predict, it's not going to be easy. But for the liking, it's a different Argentinian squad. Let's be very honest. Since 2019, they've come out as a they've come out as a fierce unit into the World Cup, and they've been playing some impressive football. We all have to accept it. Champions of the Copa America, they play some really good football to get that feat achieved. And to add to that, 36 games unbeaten leading into the World Cup. That's a remarkable feat as well. And Copa America champions, Finalissima champions. A lot of things have gone their way, and of course, a team which has been grabbing a lot of spotlights in the recent past as well, because of course of Messi. There's no doubt about that. When Messi plays in any team, that team invariably grabs the spotlight. And for whatever reasons you say, this Argentinian squad will again be put under test when they come up against the big giants. They've not been tested yet, but we will talk about it definitely when we get further into the live.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this could be the year for Argentina. Let's start with the one player that everyone is talking about, Lionel Messi. He's been, the successor of that legacy left behind by Diego Maradona. He was supposed to be the next big thing from Argentina. He is the next big thing from Argentina, and he never had an international trophy. He gave up. I think it was 2014 or 2016 after the Copa America where he gave up on the international team. It seemed like that was the end of Messi and international team. It would be a stain on his legacy, I would say. But things did change in Copa America 2020, right? If I'm not, 2020 was the year. And
Yeah, totally right. Yeah.
after that, this team has this is probably is this the best team that Messi has played under, according to you? And is this one team that doesn't, to be frank, requires Messi to carry them, but rather Messi just adds to the whole, vibe about this team now?
Well, that's an interesting question, Jaren. Firstly, talking about this Argentinian team, to be very honest, this is the best Argentinian team I've ever seen in my lifetime, to be fair. In the last 20 years or so, I've not seen a better Argentinian team who has been put out on the park. Because I say this because they've got players and backup for every position, which is not the case. I like to take you back to 2018 when Sampoli had to call Meza, Pavon, and these lads into the team, and it just didn't look good. That was probably the best midfielder was ever Banega, and Mascherano had to be fitted into the midfield as well because they did not have any creativity, they did not have strength in the midfield. It was a very old squad. The average age was close to 31 in that squad, which meant that that team was not going to go any further. And they lost to a very good and one of the youngest squad in the World Cup, which is a French team, which bet them for pace, which bet them for physicality, and they just fell apart. But let's but after that, right after that, in 2019, they played a Copa America final. That was the last time, Copa America semi-final, sorry, against Brazil. That was the last time they ever lost a match. That was before even Jude Bellingham made his professional debut. That was before. That was when Ronaldo played just one season in the Juventus. So a lot of things had happened since the last time they lost an international game. 36 games unbeaten is a remarkable record in itself. Sampaoli's assistant coach Lionel Scaloni, you have to give credit to this man. Whatever you say, he has gone with players who are in form. He has gone with a certain philosophy, because we often talk about other managers who are super rigid, but he has got a mix, right? With Scaloni, what we are seeing over the last couple of years, since or before Copa America, is that he has preferred players who are in form. At the same time, he has gone with players who he really bangs upon. So what that has done, it has really mixed youth and experience, which is a very good mold. Now, if you look at that defense line, they've got a Christian Romero, they've got a Molina, they've got someone like Alessandro Martinez, they've got Otamendi's experience, Emiliano Martinez in between the stake, who's been great for Argentina. So, what is it about this team? And if you look at the players, if you look at these players in Europe, they're not the biggest names. Molina barely starts for Atletico Madrid. Romero, maybe not the best defender in the Premier League. Maybe because Lisandro Martinez is coming up that ranks, but it's not there. Otamendi, yes, of course, I can accept that. Is that a banger of two Champions Leagues with Benfica? And the only issue you have with Otamendi time and time again is whether will his age catch up with him at some stage. There was Juan Foyt, who was at a very decent season with Villarreal last time around. So if I have to pick individually, not of all these players are big stars in Europe, but when they're put together in the Argentinian clothing, they tend to have something ignite in them, which is very different. I don't know what's the motivation. It all looks like the motivation
Is it?
is to win that
I
cup for
mean,
Messi.
we've seen this one thing, Abel, that in the past, an Argentinian team has always played around Messi, and this team as well. I mean, Scaloni has done that job where he's built a team around Messi. That's for sure. Messi is the center focal point of it. But we have seen this team win matches without Messi as well, hasn't it? And isn't that? And it seems like there's a fire in this team to win it for Messi. And is that because we always talk about big tournaments. Whenever we speak about big tournaments, it's the team that wants it the most at the end of the day. It's not the it's not the names on the paper, it's not the stats before it. It's on that day, on the pitch, the players who want it the most. Do you think that is the motivating factor that this team could carry on till the World Cup because they want a minute for Messi?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you've hit the nail on its head. Firstly, the motivation, what you see, is a factor, but not just that. The motivation they have, the pride they have. I mean, every Argentinian team has always had the pride, but the unity they have when they play for Argentina, especially this bunch of lads, it's phenomenal. It's just top notch, I would say so. Let's talk about Lautaro Martinez, right? Lautaro Martinez got his cap right after that Copa America and after that World Cup debacle what they had last World Cup. And this lad has stepped up with open arms. He's done really well for Argentina since then. He's been one of the linchpin strikers. Whenever he's got an opportunity, he's never made a mess of it. They've talked about Di Maria. Time and time again, there were times where Di Maria used to be questioned, and definitely he was questioned for reasons like, okay, is he the best player out there? I think we're facing a slight connection issue. But yeah, we're back. We're back. Uh, we're back. I think we're back. Just let me know if we're back. Yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
I think that was like
I mean,
technical issue what we are facing from stream. Yet it's okay. Nonetheless,
yeah.
yeah. To continue from where I left off, for example, these players have really helped their experience come into fore as well. For example, Dima has become much more smarter player, right? I will definitely talk about the tactical analysis of this team, which is quite fascinating as well. To be honest, Scaloni has brought in a tactical change at the same time. A team who's much more comfortable on the ball. That's something which you don't really see with an Argentinian team. But at the same time, this team is physically very strong as well. So it's a good mix, which is really helping them to do well. And they've used right players for the right positions. Maybe I'll say one of the most underrated, one of the biggest player of this team has been Rodrigo De Paul. Rodrigo De Paul for this team has been such an important player in that wheel. We talk about Messi, we talk about Di Maria, we talk about Martinez, but Rodrigo De Paul, Guido Rodriguez, and also Paredes. These lads have been outstanding for them, right? and especially Paredes usually plays like in Guido Rodriguez's position, and Paredes has been an important factor in this team. I know they're going to miss Giovanni Lo Celso. Lo Celso
Yeah.
has been an important player for this team. I mean, one of the biggest, their best advanced midfielder, and that's where someone like Alexis McAllister, I think, will get a nod ahead. He's been so impressive. One of my favorite players to watch in the Premier League. Such good IQ. He's got on the ball. He can be used as a pressing machine. He plays really well in advanced positions. A lovely midfielder to watch, and that's where this Argentinian squad is different from any other squad. They have backups. They've got talents who are playing in good leagues in Europe and talents who are in form.
Fair enough. I mean, that's where it's going to be very interesting. So let's talk about this team overall, right? Let's start with the manager Lionel Scaloni. As you mentioned, he was the assistant manager for, Argentina under Sampioli, but now he is the captain of the ship. Is it, I mean, obviously he does share his first name with Lionel Messi, but I think aside from that, Messi might be looking at him, and I know for a fact that this one manager who's really brought that confidence back in Argentina. We did speak about how this World Cup could be the momentum for South America. The South American giants, both Brazil, whom we will be speaking about definitely leading up to the World Cup, and Argentina, two sleeping giants, so as to speak, have finally woken up. But if you look at the way they have come to this World Cup, right? The teams that they've faced is Ecuador, Uruguay, Peru, Chile, Colombia, Bolivia, Paraguay, Venezuela. Are these really threatening names in football? Or now coming to the World Cup, is this the real, as I say, the World Cup, could this be the different curry that might be a little too spicy for them?
Yeah, I mean, of course, as I mentioned in the start of the live as well, it's not going to be the easiest of ride for Argentina. Although they've been unbeaten. Let's all remember the fact that they've been unbeaten in South America. Though they've had a couple of challenges against European giants. One I remember was against Germany in 2019, where they had a 2-all draw. One was in the finalissima, where they absolutely
Yeah.
triumphed over Italy, and that I thought was a huge victory. Usually, what happens with most of the South American teams is that when they come up against a good European team, they tend to falter, and that's one of the reasons why over the last 2 decades you've not seen any South American team win a World Cup as well. Because European football has moved on to that advanced position of technicality, advanced position where they have been developing in each aspect much more.
I think,
And
I
that's
mean, is
also to
it?
do with a lot of economic state of things. That's also to do with how advanced in technological and the investment and the structure which every
Yeah.
European country has got. That's where you can't blame South American football. But here you have players who are playing in Europe finally, right? You look at this team,
Hmm.
every player plays in Europe. You have a Julian Alvarez who plays under Pep. You have a Leo Messi, greatest of all time, and possibly one of the greatest of all time.
No, I
You
think
have
at least
Angel.
in this panel label, we would be probably calling Messi the goat at this point. Yeah,
Of course, I mean, I don't know if he has to win
especially
the
for those
World
of
Cup
you
to
who's
settle the
watched PS
debate.
Morgan.
I mean, to be very honest, yeah, I don't know if Messi has to win the World Cup to prove the debate, but
I don't think so, man.
I think it'll be the cherry on the cake, right?
Yeah,
To Messi
absolutely.
to have the World Cup under his belt. But at the same time, I will say one thing: when it comes to Messi and the Argentinian team, over the last 1 year, the opinions have slightly changed, right? Until 2021, until they got their hands on that Copa America
Hmm.
trophy, Argentinian fans weren't happy with the team. No matter who Messi was in Europe, no
Hmm.
matter the stature he had in Barcelona, Messi was never accepted or even considered as a player, not as even a good player in Argentina. That's because
Yeah,
of the standard
yeah,
which his godfather had said, the godfather of Argentina, which Maradona had said, late Maradona had said. And this World Cup is the first one after Maradona's passing away. And let me tell you a very
yeah,
interesting story. In Argentina, there are more than 100 churches in Maradona's name. 100 churches where they worship Maradona. So the cult figure Maradona is for the nation. They consider him as God. So if anybody has to come close to Maradona or to achieve something, he has to have a World Cup under the belt. Argentinians don't accept anything short of a World Cup, right? Let's be very honest with that. And that is where this team had that weightage on their shoulder when they stepped onto the field. I remember the I remember that scene very vividly in 2018 World Cup. It was a match before Croatia. Messi was sweating. I don't know what he was going through. He was putting his hands on his face. He looked red. This team was absolutely succumbing to pressure, and it was going in a downward spiral, right?
But
The
I think,
pressure
isn't it
was
also
hitting.
because, the epicenter of this team was Lionel Messi? And at the end of the day, even Messi cannot actually take a team all the way through to a world stage, let alone World Cup, where it's the height of professionalism, height of, the glory, height of glory in football, right? I mean, the best teams in the world play in World Cup. And I know Messi is the best player in the world, but we know that it's not easy for one player to do it. And I think, and that's where, that's been the issue, right? Throughout, it's been Messi who's been carrying this team. I know Diego Maradona is one of the best, one of the greatest ever to play the sport, but he had one of the greatest ever teams as well to support him. Because at the end of the day, you cannot, expect Messi to carry this team all the way through. And Messi did in 2014. He came very close. And I think that's why, the weight of pressure was on Messi, because you have to realize Messi's never had that kind of pressure. Ronaldo, he's had that kind of pressure, you would argue, because he's played in Sporting Lisbon.
Okay,
Then is when he moved on to
I'll tell you
Manchester
another
United.
story, right? Portugal before 2004, before Ronaldo made his debut, had only played two World Cups. Two World Cups. After Ronaldo's debut, they played almost every World Cup, right? So this is what I want to say. Before Messi's debut, Argentina have two World Cups. Have two World Cups which they have won. After Messi's debut, they won zero World Cups. So Messi has a weightage where he has to win trophies for his country. And in Argentina, as I mentioned, you get measured to be a legend on the badge
Yeah.
or the star you have. If you don't have that
Huh.
star, which you have not earned it, you're not getting the respect, regardless of the player you are in Europe. If you're a Kun
Yeah.
Aguero who pins in 40 goals a season for Manchester City, but if you're not ready to pin in the goals for Argentina, you don't get the respect, man. Let me be very honest. So that's where I personally believe, from whatever I've seen, Argentinians take their World Cup seriously. Argentinians take their national team
They do.
very,
They
very,
do.
very seriously,
They do. Yeah.
unlike any other country. So
Absolutely.
I have this thing, right? Like I've always seen a lot of players across generations, and finally, I think the press of Argentina, I've been following them closely for the last 1.5 years. Though I don't understand the local language, I've been trying to put it on translate and at least trying to get the grip of things. What's happening in Rosario and all these places is that after the Copa America win, which they triumphed over their arch rivals
Yeah.
in the arch rivals of
And one of the
Grandmaster.
best Brazilian teams in a long time.
Yes, yes. And Argentina went into that game as an underdog and they fought
Yeah.
for each other for 90 minutes. And it did turn out to be a brawling game where towards the end it was just like a WWE where tactical fouls or tactical fouls or tactical fouls. It was pretty rough towards the end. But barring that, but that run of Copa America was destined for Messi. One can argue that was a fourth Copa America in last 7 years. It's
I
pretty
mean,
funny to be
they did
honest.
come very close to winning Copa America. I think Copa America is that one trophy that Messi would have been more frustrated than World
Yeah,
Cup,
yeah,
because
yeah.
you can argue that in World Cup, Messi still had to face a lot of great teams. But in Copa America, they've come very close. They've had some great runs, but it was always a final that was ending up. I think Chile was once their arch enemy, knocking them out every time they faced them in the knockouts. So maybe that's where I think it really took a toll on Messi. You could see that Messi in Barcelona and Messi in international football was way different. It was Messi in international football was way more flustered, as you mentioned. He was, struggling. He would not be able to score free kicks in the crunch moments. But that's not what he saw in Barcelona. In Barcelona, you always felt Messi was more relaxed. He believed he would win the game regardless of the team. Even though, towards the end of Messi's career, you would question the Barcelona team, but Messi still pulled them through. But in that Argentinian team, you felt like the whole world, Messi was carrying the whole of Argentina on his shoulders, and it was getting too
Yeah.
heavy for him to carry.
Yeah, yeah, you're spot on there. To be honest, the way in which Messi had that burden on the shoulder, it's finally at least off his back, and not just
Yeah.
that, the run, the kind of changes which Scaloni has brought in, the unity of the squad, pick the right players, that all these things have made sure that Messi is not the. It is not a system which is built around Messi. It's a
Hmm.
team which is built to win matches, not a system where it is like,
Yeah.
okay, pass the ball to Messi and see where it goes, which was the case in 2018 or in 2014. Pass the ball to Messi and see where it goes. But now
Hmm.
Messi is part of that system which Caloni has built, where
Absolutely.
he has to play for the team, and which is very great. Where you're seeing involvements from other players to a far bigger extent as well. For example, Rodrigo De Paul for this team is as important as a Messi, which was not the
Hmm.
case maybe in 2014, 2018. Or you can say Lo Celso, who's not coming to the World Cup, is going to be a huge miss as well, because he was one of the linchpins in the final third when it comes to him making decisions, him passing the ball to Messi. Then from there, it used to start. He used to be the final decision maker even in the final third. So Lo Celso is a huge miss for this team as well. Uh, yeah, so I would say, to be very honest, in the way in which this Argentinian team is built, it's positive signs for a lot of
Yeah.
people. It's positive signs because they have played good football. They have not played football which is ugly, which you can still say can be put to question when it comes to a World Cup. Can they really go out there and do it when it matters the most? So these kind of things I've actually put behind. Now finally they are playing good football. They're playing football which is pretty impressive to the eye. They're using players at the right position. They have a very impressive lineup as well. So that is where you really rate this Argentinian team, and possibly this is their best chance or shot at the World Cup after a very long time.
Well, let's just look at the team, the probable 11. While we pull that out, I'll usually when I talk, about teams, I usually start at the goalkeeper and then move on. But I think here we should start with the attack, right? Lionel Messi,
Yeah.
Lautaro Martinez, Angel Di Maria. Now I think in this, Lionel Messi, Angel Di Maria have played enough World Cups, and both of them have been instrumental. I think if you probably put Messi aside, one player that Argentina has always relied on World Cup fixtures has been Angel Di Maria. Down the wing, he's been doing great, but now Lautaro Martinez, is that the final piece in the puzzle that they needed to win the World Cup? Because they have had some great number nines. They've had Higuain, they've had Tevez, they've had Sergio Aguero, all of
Yeah,
them great
then
players
I'll just
in their
add
own
to that.
right.
They had great number nines. They never had a performing number
Yeah,
nine.
exactly. So my point being now is Lautaro Martinez that answer, because you've had great players, but you've never had great players for Argentina. They've always been great players in Europe. Is this the player that he's done well for Argentina? I think if you look at the stats in the World Cup qualifiers, he's equaled Messi in comparison to the goals. I think they've scored 7 goals each,
Yeah,
and he is somewhere there in the top 5 assists as well. Maybe if Abel can
yeah.
pull that up soon enough, we
We
will be
will,
able to
we
look
will,
at the
we will.
graph. That means that Lautaro Martinez is fitting into this team as a striker. Obviously, he's done great when it comes to UEFA Champions League. Barcelona fans will not want to see the back of him. But if you also share your love of Barcelona and Argentina, you'll probably realize right there that he is the man for you. I mean, just look at this graph right here, Abel. Lautaro Martinez 7 goals, Lionel Messi 7 goals, and if you look at the assists as well, I think he's somewhere in the third place. There we go. He's in the third place with 3 assists. So 3 assists, 7 goals. That's just incredible for a number nine, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, that's where he becomes so much more vital for this team. When we talk about the key players as well, right? These two, I think Messi and Martinez are the key players for this squad, because they've been too good, especially for the liking. They've been pinning in goals. They've been very confident on the ball, right? Especially someone like a Martinez. He has reached a stage where he's at his peak of his football career. He's having a decent season with Inter Milan, where he's been doing pretty good. He's helped his team to qualify into the next round. And let's talk about him and his contribution for Argentina. I think for Argentina, he's been doing a very decent job. I mean, whatever you say, it's not exemplary numbers, but it's a very good job. You have a partner for Messi. It's not that Messi should be doing everything alone from now on. You've got a partner who can do a very decent job, and who's been doing a job which is very valuable for this team. Let's all accept that. We often talk about an Argentinian team who goes into the World Cup, um who do not have a part. They might be a big name, but they might not be partnering with Messi as good as you want them to. So this is a different team for a lot of reasons, and that is where I also think this could be a change in the tide, because when it comes to Lautaro Martinez himself, the season he's had with Inter Milan, it's been pretty decent. Maybe he's got 8 goals so far, happened at 3 assists in all competition. And look at the 8 goals, right? And that some of the important contributions have come in some of the biggest games. So you would know that this guy is a man for the big occasions. What has happened with number nines over the years for Argentina? They've always had the issue of not converting it. They used to get the final ball, but they failed to convert. Look at the record of these two players this season. It's just their current form at this point, not the record what they've been holding. The current form in Europe has been good,
Yeah.
and they've been playing in I mean, you can bar Messi out of it, but if you just talk about Lautaro Martinez, just himself, the way and the impact he's got, he's been pairing up pretty well with Lukaku in most of the games. Him with Dzeko has been a good partnership. Same wise,
Hmm.
I think if they're going to play a 4-4-2 system, I think Messi and Lautaro can be a good partnership because
I mean,
Lautaro always
see,
relies
yeah.
on a striker to be playing besides him, and that's something which you will see. Though they'll opt for a 4-3-3 approach, which is highly likely under Scaloni, which I'm going to put the probable 11 as
Yeah.
well. This could
Hmm.
possibly be the approach, because if you look at the
I
assist
mean,
as well.
Abel, when I look at that lineup right there, you have Angel Di Maria on one side, you have Lionel Messi on the other, you have Lautaro Martinez right in the middle. But if you look at these three players, these are three players who are not, who are not afraid of passing the ball, holding the ball where the others make runs. So isn't that where
Okay.
it's so dangerous? Where your defense, the opposition defense, doesn't know where the goal threat is coming from, and they can't focus. Let's say two players on Messi, or two players of Martinez, or two players on Di Maria, because if you do that, these players have the capability of making sure that they create space for the other two to run into, and that's where the flexibility, the fluidity of the game is going to really hurt the opposition teams.
Yeah,
So how do you
so if I have
counter
to
that?
tactically break down this team, to be honest, I'll tell how it works for them. So as you can see, Tagliafico, I'm just gonna give you a hint that Tagliafico is such an important part of this team when it comes to their attacking play. So they have a structure of 3-1-3-4-3 when it comes to attacking transitions and offensive moves. So it all starts. The build-up starts right from the back with Emiliano Martinez, and he goes on to the center back, and you can see Molina or Tagliafico makes the run. So what they try to do is very simple. So they try to, if at all a team is trying to press them, then Di Maria and Messi drops in deep, so it gives a lot more passing lanes for the center defensive midfielder, or for Romero, or for even for Otamendi at times. So from Otamendi, the game goes to Leandro Paredes more often than not. From there, Rodrigo De Paul and Leandro Paredes, and at times Martinez, what they do is they try to create an overload through the central region. And even Messi tries to drop in through the central region, which opens the flanks for them. That is where
Yeah.
their wingers, the likes of Molina and Tagliafico, become such an important part of this squad. Now, if you look, Molina and Tagliafico will make runs into the final third. And what happens is someone like a McAllister, usually it is even Papu Gomez at times who plays as a left center midfielder, or Lo Celso. So right now there is no Lo Celso, and in their usual system, what happens is Papu Gomez or Lo Celso, makes those runs into the half spaces and then links up with Tagliafico. Their area of attack is very simple. More often than not, they open the wings up. They try to create an overload either on the central region. They create a congestion so their flanks are opened up, and from there they try to create an attacking threat. And what more often than not, what happens is Messi tries to cut inside through the center, and then Di
Hmm.
Maria goes to the right hand side, and then you have a Messi and a Martinez through the central region, and Tagliafico plays as a left winger in this team. So Molina and Di Maria are your players on the right hand side where they link up play, and Messi cuts in deep. It becomes more like, if I have to tell, it becomes more like a four. It becomes a five at the front kind of system at times when Tagliafico up there. Then you have Messi and Lautaro Martinez through the middle, and then you have Molina as well. So that is how they approach. That's how they attack. And there are times when they want to overload one side. Then there's Rodrigo De Paul and Leandro Paredes, and also Molina overloads a right hand side, which opens space through the central region, where again Messi drops in the middle, links up with Di Maria and Martinez, and attacks through. So this is their normal sense of play. And as I said, in this system, right from Emiliano Martinez, because there are a lot of Martinez in this team, right from Emiliano Martinez uh, to to the center backs, to the wing backs, everybody is such an important part of the system. That is where Lionel Scaloni has done a great job, especially when it comes to the way in which they have, he's trying to bring in a lot more pieces into the system who are highly involved in the game as much as a Messi is. So this is not a Messi centric system. This is pretty much a team centric system where every player has got its role. Now, as I mentioned, right, Tagliafico, for example, in this system has got plays as a winger more often than not. His advanced position, when he gets an advanced position where he tries to create attacking threats, is very, 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 very vital for this team. That especially when Di Maria switches onto the right hand flank, because that flank becomes open, and then what happens is someone like a Lo Celso or Leandro Paredes, create, moves into the half space or tries to cover up, because in defensive transition you'll know there'll be an opening there, and then Tagliafico might not be able to run back. So that's when Leandro Paredes drops deep, and then it becomes four at the back either ways. So every player in the system is so vital, so important and crucial for this team to work. As you say, it's a well-oiled machine at this time, a machine which is looking very dangerous, a machine who's looking to take down any team in the world because they have the confidence. They're possibly one of the best defensive line. People are saying that this defense line is not good enough, but I think this defense line is one of the best out there because of the fact that this defense line is well rounded. Yeah, Otamendi, who's really good. People are saying against UAE in the game yesterday they played, they had a lot of chances which went through the right hand side and through the left hand side. But remember, there was no Molina, and players were very, very. They were not even trying to put in their intensity. After they scored 3 goals, they were like, okay, let's pass around. Let's just, because it's a World Cup in 1 week time. You don't want to go out there. But so they were just letting UAE players to come into them. That doesn't happen. And this team is one of the best teams when it comes to regaining the ball in final third. One of the top 5 teams in the world when it comes to regaining the ball in final third. Their pressing in the final third off the ball movements are as impressive as their movement on the ball. Their off the ball movements is where someone like a Paredes, someone when it comes to defensive transition, someone like a Paredes always drops back. He's not someone who gets into advanced position with this team. He drops back into a 5 at the back system in defensive transition, and at the same time, they are very good in winning tactical fouls, something which it might backfire at times. But on defensive transition, their biggest strength has been winning tactical fouls. They go out there, just push a player, win a foul, the entire momentum of the game changes. Then everybody comes back, get into their position. That has been their strength, and Lionel Scaloni has been able to deploy that with perfection so far.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about both the defense and not the defense, rather the midfield and the attack together. But there's one missing piece, isn't it? It's Giro Celso. He has been the top assister for the World Cup qualifiers. He's been a great player once and he's done some very creative runs when he's been playing for this team. But now he isn't there in this team. He's injured. He isn't named in the squad, if I'm not wrong. And now, how much more difficult will that be if he isn't fit? Also, I'll add to that, there have been fitness concerns with Engel Di Maria as well. So, if those two, how fit are they? And if they're not, how much is going to affect Scaloni's plans?
For example, Lo Celso is ruled out of the World Cup anyways. Di
Yeah,
Maria
yeah.
pinned in 2 goals yesterday against UAE, so he looks perfectly fit, and he was a very important part of that Argentinian team. So that is a green signal for them. But Lo Celso missing out on him is huge, is massive for this team. I don't think you can replace Lo Celso with any other player right now for the Argentinian team, at least, regardless of his performance in the club level. But when it comes to him playing over in Argentinian colors, you saw the assist, right? He was right up there in the chart with the top assist maker through the World Cup qualifier, and he has done a great job. Let's be all very honest about it. He's done an exemplary job holding the ball, getting to advanced positions. I remember the match. I think it was during Copa America where he was getting into advanced positions more than any other player. And if you talk about the player who might possibly replace him, it's Alexis McAllister. What is
Hmm.
Alexis McAllister's biggest strength? Now, if I have to talk about Alexis McAllister, we have put him as one of the probable 11, and we believe that he should be, and I personally believe he should be starting. There is a possibility of them going with Enzo Fernandez, but Enzo Fernandez is also having a very good season with Benfica, right? So another option they've got in this team. But personally, for me, Alexis McAllister should be the starter in this team. I'll tell you 2 reasons why. Number one, Alexis McAllister's ability on the ball is fantastic. Him playing under Graham Potter's system just suited his style of play, and it has improved. It has made him into a much confident ball player. when it comes to his pressing ability, off the ball movements, it's very good as well. Especially him regaining ball in the final third, then making attacking decisions. Let's look. This season he scored 5 goals for Brighton, and all the 5 goals, if he scored for Brighton, he gets into advanced position. He makes those in behind runs, which is going to be very crucial for this team, because you don't have an advanced midfielder like a Giovanni Lo Celso in this team. Thereby, you need an advanced midfielder. Rodrigo De Paul is still not your best creative midfielding option. He still plays on defensive. When it comes to defensive positions, he gets into, he maybe drop. He drops in more often than not. That's where you need a player to run in behind of someone like who can link up possibly with a Tagliafico on the left hand side, and that's where I think Alexis McAllister is going to be such an important player in this team. And if you look at someone like even Enzo Fernandez and also Papu Gomez might start as a winger as well. He might be coming off the bench, but he's a good option as well in this team, and he can play in a left midfield position because he's done that with Sevilla on on many of the occasions. He's done that with Argentinian team as well. So a possible option they have in the left center midfield option is Papu Gomez. But other than that, Alexis McAllister, right? And that's where they will try to cover up Giovanni Lo Celso's absence with Alexis McAllister, who's a player in form. And how often do we say a player in form is the best option you can go with? Because it's and a player who's going to be playing without any baggage. This is first World Cup, no burden, who can just go out there, play freely. He's very good. You know, when you put him under pressure, he's been very good. Especially, I remember some of the games where he's played in Premier League, where players try to press him. He's so calm on the ball, and that's why I have a very special liking towards Alexis McAllister. I've been noticing him for a very long time, especially when I got to know he's an Argentine. I started noticing him even more. I was like, wow, this guy can play, and he's such a good baller.
I mean, that name doesn't
That's why.
sound very Argentinian, does it? McAllister, redhead, ginger haired guy. Sounds a lot, looks a lot like English guy. But I mean,
I have to check his roots. I'm not very sure about his roots. I don't think he's proper Argentinian. That's something which I personally think as well. Because look at his name. Uh, yeah,
yeah,
so talking about that, regardless of where he's from, he's been playing some good football. So that's what matters the most. And what a lovely player, to be honest. I mean, when it comes to, I personally enjoy watching Brighton play. And in Brighton, if you ask me who's
yeah.
my favorite player, it has to be Alexis McAllister, just for the fact that the way in which he controls the midfield, and more often than not, he gets in advanced position, which is so important. He gives me some vibes like Kevin De Bruyne at times as well, the way in which he gets into advanced positions. So that's why I like his involvement in the game a lot more. The way maybe he can be a very attacking threat at times. You can play him in a cam role or as even as a second striker at times, because that's the kind of attacking threat he can give you up front.
Fair enough. Well, let's look at the defense now. You have probably we have obviously put up two names right up there. It's Otamendi and Christian Romero. Two of the Otamendi obviously being the senior pro. He's been there and out for a long time, but he's found himself again in Benfica. He's been the rock for that Benfica team. He's done really well in UEFA Champions League. That's the reason why Benfica have been very competitive in that group where with PSG. And then you have Christian Romero, who's been, one of the reasons for Antonio Conte in Tottenham Hotspurs, the kind of run they are on. But then you have Lisandro Martinez, who was initially questioned because of his height, because he was considered to be too short to handle someone like a Haaland, which was true, by the way. I mean, he couldn't handle Haaland. But other than that, everyone else has been in his pocket. I think you can find almost half of Premier League strikers right in Lisandro Martinez's pocket. But now, how much difficult is this choice going to be? Because there are there are pundits who are saying that Otamendi is a lot older now. He will have that problem with the pace, especially trying to defend the likes of Mbappe, whom they might face going on in the tournament. And there are many much more pacey strikers that Otamendi might struggle with. Do you think that's a possibility? And if that's the reason, then is Lisandro Martinez an option? Or is there something, is Scaloni is going to be flexible? Or is this the actual lineup we're going to see?
Um, to be fair to him, yeah, hi Carlos. Estás bien, Carlos. My Spanish knowledge is pretty bad, but yeah. Hi Aisha. I'll just take the comments because there are a lot of people who are in the comments. I think we'll just take it. Michael says Messiah will win it for the God. Quite a nice way to put it out there. Messiah for the God, and it possibly could be the way for Argentina with the way in which they've been playing good football. Finally, Argentina, yeah, everybody's excited to be talking about Argentina. It's an Argentinian vibe which has been happening all across, and especially as the World Cup is approaching. Yeah, your point is very valid, Jaren, when it comes to who's possibly going to start. Is it going to be Lisandro Martinez or is it going to be Otamendi? Because Otamendi, experienced, excellent defender out there now. But the only worry you get with both these players, one is extremely aggressive, who can maybe get a red card at times and make your team into complete shambles. Another
Yeah.
guy whose shortage of height is a big factor. I still think so. He's a very good
I
ball
mean,
playing defender. One of the best. He can even play as a center defensive
I
midfielder.
think that's
That's
the
how
reason why
good
Man
he is.
United it works. It works because you have Varane, who's a pretty tall guy, and then you have
Yes,
Martinez. So Varane kind of covers that aerial part of it, but also Martinez has never
yes.
lost or his if I'm not wrong, his aerial winning stats are pretty good. So
Yeah,
is that
absolutely.
actually
It
a
is. It
problem
is
with
good.
Martinez?
What is the best part about Martinez? His technical ability is very good. When it comes to his understanding of the game, he's as good as a center defensive midfielder, and he has been deployed as a center defensive midfielder under Eric Ten Hag's system in Ajax a lot of times. And that is something which you need to give credit to Lisandro Martinez as well. He's such a good player when it comes to he understands the next move of the defender, of the attacker. He links up play pretty well. He's a good ball carrier as well from the back. A lot of boxes you would like to tick, but will Scaloni, okay, at the same time, I say Scaloni is an attacking minded coach at times, but he's also a pragmatist in the similar fashion. He's a mix of both. He's not your most attacking minded coach. Maybe I would say if Alessandro Martinez was playing for the Spanish team, I would have seen Alessandro Martinez make this lineup like clear cut, regardless of who he is and what is the ability of the ball, and when it comes to his height and his physicality, Alessandro Martinez would have made into that team because of his ball carrying ability, because of his ball progressing ability, because of his technical ability, and also how calm and composed he is. But when it comes to the Argentinian team and what Scaloni has preferred over the last couple of years, it's Christian Romero, and he goes in with an Otamendi because that is a good partnership which they built. There was a brief period in which they did not concede a goal for more than 6 months, and that is a crazy, crazy stat to have, right? They were like literal pillars in between, and you saw that in that Copa America final, how a fierce attacking strength of Brazil was not given any space because these two together they can be as aggressive as they can get, and you won't get any way to pass through them. So they are a very good partnership. See, you talk about partnerships. I think Lisandro Martinez had built a very good partnership with Varane. Similarly, Romero had built a very good partnership with Otamendi, and I don't see him going away from the partnership, who has done well for them over a period of time. And consistency is a key, especially when it comes to them. Otamendi is a very good ball player. I've been, being a City fan as well. I've seen Otamendi, fumbling the ball lot of times in many occasions, but at the same time, is gradually improved. I remember when Pep took over as City coach. I remember one player which Pep did not really prefer at all times, Otamendi, because he's a very good defender with physicality, but when it comes to his ball playing ability, there was a question mark. But that very season, I saw him improve on the ball a lot more. And now, if you look at it, Otamendi, he's got the age of experience. He's got ability. He's got a game understanding, which is very good. And look at his stats for Benfica, for example. He's been solid at the back. So I don't think you can look beyond automatically because you will come in big games where you need to have that experience and physicality, especially against some of the bigger European teams, as you go further ahead into the competition. And that's why I personally think you need an Otamendi and a Romero, and that partnership is at the moment not breakable. And Lisandro Martinez off bench is the best option you can get in the world.
All right. I mean, now that we've covered the defense as well, let's go to the goalkeepers. We've got three options, but obviously, I think the preferred choice is going to be Emiliano Martinez, who plays for Aston Villa in the Premier League. He has been, I mean, if those of you who remember him would remember him for that penalty he had saved of Bruno Fernandes, and the dance that he has. But yeah, he is a character, isn't he? Abel? Someone who's equally aggressive probably would be a very good fit in terms of mentality in the defense. But how good he as a goalkeeper? Because we've seen some fumbles in the past World Cup. I think the last World Cup, I think that's how France. If there's a straight shot at the goalkeeper and he fumbled the ball. It happened against France for Argentina. Is Emiliano Martinez a safe hands that Argentina needs between the sticks? And what about the options that Scaloni has?
Yeah, I mean, talking about, I think I'll pull up the squad as well. So when you look at that Argentinian squad, I'll just give you an example of what happened during 2018 World Cup, right? They went with Caballero to start off the World Cup with, and it was just a horrendous time for the Argentinian team. And I thought he was just so bad at the ball. He had no understanding what he was doing, and there were instances in that World Cup where you felt like Argentina are looking here and there for a goalkeeper to come and save them. And Caballero, I mean, for all the good player he is, and he possibly could have been, he was just awful on the ball in that World Cup. And you saw him making some very big fumbles, which led to Argentina's downfall, especially in that game against Croatia. He was looking very scared on the ball, and he was looking awful. That's all I would say, Caballero. But this World Cup, when you look, you have a Rui, you have an Armani, and you have Emiliano Martinez. I think Emiliano Martinez will be the preferred keeper in that position. As you can see, this is a squad which they've announced, and uh, Rui is an important part of this team, right? Rui has been doing a decent job in La Liga with Villarreal. He's had a good season last time around. But what is the issue with Rui? I remember in the game against Liverpool, uh,
Yeah,
under pressure he tends to fumble a lot. And what is the thing with Emiliano Martinez? Emiliano Martinez really thrives under pressure. Two
yeah,
players, uh, and as I say, some of the managers just go with the system as well a lot more. And Emiliano Martinez is such an important part of the system where he's a good ball playing goalkeeper. He's not the best when it comes to his club stats. You can still say that because Villa has been having a tough time, to be honest. Let's be very honest with it. Villa has been
yeah,
having a tough time, but
yeah,
he's not the one to be blamed for that. He's not been making the worst
yeah.
mistake. But when it comes to Argentina, another player who's not possibly even the best in Europe, but when it comes to him wearing the Argentinian clothing, he gets his game to another level. He just has a paradigm shift in the way in which he plays, the way in which he's got the passion, and that's why this Argentinian team is so different. I don't know if they're superior on paper. On paper, they're not the most superior team compared to any other team in Europe, or when it comes to any other team in the World Cup. I can pick up maybe even 5 or 6 teams in my hands who are maybe possibly better than Argentina when it comes to their superiority on paper. But when it comes to them playing for Argentina, when it comes to them actually stepping up for that clothing or for that badge of Argentina, they just turn it on at that time. They're just too good there. So it's tough to judge them on form. At the same time, their Argentinian form alone, if it's something I have to consider, they're too good. For every player. I have to talk about right from back from Emiliano Martinez to Lautaro Martinez. That's just how good they are. That's how they've been able to be 36 games unbeaten. Whatever you say, qualifying from South America is easy. Let's all remember in 2018, Argentinian team was not even going to make it to the World Cup if not for Messi's brilliance against Ecuador, where he came out and put up a hat trick, where he put up one of his best shows in Argentinian clothing, where he had to be the man who took Argentina to the World Cup. And you know how bad was the Argentinian team when they were qualifying, when they had a lot of hiccups on that way. And South American qualifications are never easy. You play 18 games, both home and away, which is not the case in Europe. You have to play in some of the most dangerous stadiums in South America. South American game away is never ever easy. You're always going to be put under pressure because of the fans. And a person who followed South American football will know that in South America, a physical gameplay is a lot harder. For example, a team like Portugal have has crashed to South American opposition for the last couple of World Cups. Why is that? Because physicality of a South American team is always on a superior side. Technical ability of a European team, I agree to it, it's always better. But a physicality is something which you need to accept in South American football is a big factor. And at times, to add to that, the fan atmosphere as well. And yeah, absolutely, SS98, Emi Martinez, Messi is a crazy thing, right? Every player in that team has got that in them to go out there and to wear that badge for Messi. So I think that's their motivation. At the same time, 36 games unbeaten is no joke. I know they've won with Honduras, Jamaica, UAE, but at the same time, there are some big wins there as well. Let's talk about Brazil, the number one team in the world, the number one FIFA ranked team in the world. Italy, the Euro champions. To get results against these two teams are not easy. And we are talking about a time where European teams are looking in absolute shambles. Why do we say Argentina are the favorites leading into this World Cup? They have a team who's performing on the paper. Other teams have names, but they're not playing as team. So what makes you win is that desire and the drive to go out there and perform as a team.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what makes you win the World Cup.
Absolutely. I mean, let's talk about. I mean, there was one question initial in the live, and I was trying to, bring it at the end of the live because we have a squad to talk about. Priyanka has asked this question, right? Where is Granacho? Alejandro
Yeah.
Garnacho, the next big thing for Argentina is missing. By the way, guys, I mean he has a Argentinian mother and a Spanish dad, so he can play for Spain. So is this something that because you never know next World Cup he might just go for Spain, play in favor of Spain because he was not selected here. Is that a possibility?
Um, you know what? Garnacho has been preferred by Scaloni in multiple occasions, though he's not got a cap yet. But he's been called up to the squad to prevent that from happening, where him going to Spain and playing. And you know what? I think Garnacho will continue to play for Argentina, and Scaloni definitely does see him as part of his plans. See, Garnacho has done great for United, but again, coming to the factor, you know, how certain coaches prefer form at the same time certain players who have done really well in that position. I would have still gone with the Granacho. I really admire the player how Granacho has been. He's been fantastic for United. He's been having an impact coming off the bench, who's been used as super sub, which can be the case even with the Argentinian team. Someone who can come off the bench and make an impact. Because in this World Cup, you need to have bench strength. I keep telling it time and time again in every review what we do. 5 substitutions is massive. It's the first time ever in the World Cup you can make 5 substitutions. So whereby you need a bench strength who can go out there and perform for you, and that's why you need players who can come off the bench and do a job. Julian Alvarez, a fantastic player to have in the bench. He's been doing that for City time and time again to come off the bench and
Yeah.
make an impact. Alejandro Garnacho would have been good enough, and maybe that's why I think Dybala is going to be possible playing in Garnacho's position. And Dybala is also someone who can do it. Dybala is as good as anybody. I mean, especially in the Finalissima, where he was so impactful in that game and he came out there and scored as
I
well.
mean, there are
Uh,
also concerns on his involvement, right? I mean, what about his injury? Is there an update, or is he
I mean,
injured, or is he playing? Or
he's fit to go. He's fit to go. I mean, he's recovered. I mean, there was a time where it looked like he might even miss the World Cup, but the good part is he's fit, and that's a
yeah,
good happy news for Argentinians.
I mean, it's good to see him, because he wasn't involved in the previous World Cup, if I'm not wrong. Abel, correct me if I'm wrong here, but he was on the peak of his powers in that World Cup, and he wasn't preferred by Sampioli, and then now in this, I mean, he's recently coming back to form, right, in Roma. He's looking good. He's starting to fit well with a special one. Could this be his year off the bench if that's the case?
Yeah, maybe not. But look, with Dybala, it's been an unfortunate case. When Dybala was looking very good for his club team, 2017, 2018, he never got an opportunity to even feature in the 11. I was very critical about it way back in 2018, where
Yeah.
Sampoli never considered Dybala even in the starting 11, where you played players like Pavon, where I was like, who's even this guy? I never even heard of this guy. Why is he even starting for this team? I mean, exactly like how Ronaldo felt looking at Ralph Ragnick. That's what I felt like looking at Pavon. No disrespect to him, but then that's a fact, right? You have a Dybala sitting on the bench, and what is Pavon doing even there? So that was my feeling. And you had even Higuain coming off the bench, and no Dybala, no signs of Dybala at all. And when this guy was fit and he was a player in form, but now what is
Yeah.
happening 5 years down the line or 4 years down the line, where Dybala is not at its peak, Dybala has really not reached his potential, what everybody expected him to reach, and he's still in the bench. So it's an unfortunate case for Dybala, right? But he's made a good move to Roma. I think that was a very good
Yeah.
move that he made to Roma. I think he's had a considerable amount of impact linking up with Tammy Abraham up front. But yet again, I say, is Dybala gonna be an ideal backup for a Di Maria? Maybe, maybe time will tell that. I prefer Dybala coming on the right hand side. Maybe in Messi's position. That's what I personally think. Messi can be used in that free roaming option where he can come and cut in spaces, you free roam, and that's when Messi is super deadly. You
Yeah.
can't expect Messi to stay. That's where this system has really suited Messi as well. He's going to roam freely. You're going to have a Di Maria cut into the right hand side. be alongside Molina. Tagliafico through the left hand side where he's going to play as a winger. Messi and Martinez becomes their two players in the middle, and that's where it is such an effective system compared to others. And Scaloni has really identified that and use the players at the right time. If no Di Maria, he can bring a Dybala in that position. Uh, all in all, I see the system really working, and whereby I think Argentina have got the team, really have got the team. Finally, a team. That's what I said, not players. A team to win a World Cup.
Absolutely. I mean, this could well be, as Soloni says, the year for Argentina. Um, Aisha Cristiano Ronaldo is a guy who appears on interviews and scores goals and criticizes young players. So that's pretty much him.
No,
I'm
I
seriously
would
worried. I
not be
mean, I
that
think he's gonna
critical on
blank me.
Cristiano, but to be honest, at this point, Cristiano has been having a downfall. But let's see. I mean, Cristiano
You know
Ronaldo
what,
is
Emil?
out
I think
there.
I'm pretty sure if we ever meet Ronaldo, he's gonna blank us. We were pretty critical. He's very good at it. So be careful what you say about Ronaldo. I mean, let's just look at the group that Argentina is going to be playing in, as you would say, and it is a pretty good group to start off with, isn't it? I mean, you've got Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Poland. It is really not Argentina is expected to get through, isn't it? The real problem would be who comes second because Argentina is pretty much expecting to go through top of the table.
Yeah, of course. Look at that group. When you have Mexico, who's like a wounded team coming into the World Cup, Poland, not at their best, and at the same time, Saudi Arabia. Argentina started their first match against Saudi Arabia. That's their opening game, and they will be looking to continue from where they left off against UAE. And another Middle Eastern team coming in a span of 2 weeks. And remember, Saudi Arabia, I was just watching the game against Croatia last evening, and they're a good team. Let's not underrate Saudi Arabian team. Over the last 4 years, they've developed a lot. A lot of their players had been on loan to a lot of the Spanish teams as well over the last 4 years. They just went out to Spanish teams, even the B level teams. They're like, can you please accept few of our players so that they can come in and get the exposure? Which I thought was a very brave move from Saudi Arabia and their footballing body. And they put a halt onto their season 3 weeks prior to the World Cup so that they can go out there and prepare. And you are seeing that yesterday, they put up a show against Croatia. I was very impressed with them, and it's not going to be easy for Argentina. They have to really, really take every opposition seriously, and it's a very funny group as well. The moment you lose one, then you will have a mountain to climb. But
Yeah.
for ideally, Argentina are the favorites to top the group, and once they top the group, they have to wait who ends up second in that France Denmark group because that's going to be very interesting. If France comes up number second, if they lose to Denmark, then you're going to face the defending champions France in the second round, like what you had in round of 16s last time around. And I think Argentina will rather prefer facing France, but you don't know what to expect from a France team. They can turn it up and turn it off on their given day. That's how potentially dangerous they are. And we did discuss about them how dangerous they can be on a given day. Hence, I believe Argentina should be slightly wary about the French team, and even the Danish team. Danish team is going to be as deadly as it can get. So Argentina's real challenge will start from the second round, where they go out of the group. They're going to be facing an informed Denmark team or a potentially dangerous France team. From there on is where you are going to see how far Argentina can go. That's on there on they're going to see them being tested to the biggest extent. And from there, if they win that, they might potentially face England or Netherlands. Another test for them. And in semi-final, if everything goes well, they might face their arch rivals Brazil. So not
I'll
the
give you another
easiest way ahead.
suggestion while you're on it.
Yeah.
Argentina, I mean, Ronaldo and Messi could also face in the finals. The way things are set up here, people have been waiting for it. This is probably the final showdown for the two legends. Both of them have not scored a goal in the knockouts. I mean, I'll just lay it out for you guys. I mean, if in the round of 16, England and Cameroon get through, France and Mexico, you have Germany, Spain. This is round of 16. Portugal, Switzerland on one hand. Then you have Netherlands, USA, Denmark and Argentina, Germany and Croatia, Brazil and Uruguay. And then from there, if whatever happens on those ends, forget. Let's look at Portugal. If Portugal wins against Switzerland, they might face Spain or Germany. If they win there, they might face probably France or England. And if they win that, they'll go to the finals. In the same way, if you look, Argentina could be facing Denmark. They win that, they will face probably Netherlands in the quarters. They win that, they could face. Sorry. They could either face Germany in the or Brazil in the semi-final, as you mentioned. Or the other one, by the way, was Belgium. Mistake by me. And if they win that, they win the semi-finals against Brazil or Germany, they end up in the finals, and that could be Portugal versus Argentina in the finals. How big of an event could that be if this comes true? We will
I
definitely
would say
speak
very,
about
very
Portugal as
interesting.
well, but this one tire, because this could potentially be the end of the Messi Ronaldo era in World Cups, right? Both the players,
Yeah, yeah.
especially Messi, has come out to say I may not be playing for long. He's almost drawing curtains. There are rumors that Miami, sorry, from MLS has approached David Beckham has approached Messi that after his career is over in Europe, he can come and play in Miami, which is something very much possible. Ronaldo is 38 now. He probably might not play for a top European team, given what has been happening in the past few days. Is this the end of the Messi Ronaldo era in World Cups?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, yes, it is the end of the Messi Ronaldo era. Let's talk about Messi. He'll be 39, and he's already hinted that he's not going to even play football for much longer. So, um, this is possibly the last dance, as one can say. There's a last ride where these both are going to come up against each other, but they're gonna possibly have one last shot at the World Cup. And for both of these legends, I don't think World Cup isn't necessary to end the debate, but then definitely it holds a strong point, right? When you win a World Cup,
Yeah.
you are, regardless of what you say, millions of people will, you know, put you there,
I'll
right?
ask you a tougher question, Abel. If this World Cup doesn't go to either of them, then who do you think has been the better player in this World Cup in the international stage? Would you say it's Ronaldo, whose team has never ever has never done well in World Cup, as you said before Ronaldo came onto the
Yeah.
stage, or would you say Messi, who's probably had history on his side but never the right team? Because you would argue that Ronaldo's
I
team has
mean,
been a
both.
little
I
better
mean,
than Messi's.
both for Ronaldo and Messi, they've never had the team to go out there and win a World Cup. A team which could possibly win a World Cup, right? And that's
I
something.
think Aisha, look at the comment section. That's your answer for where sandy water is. But Abel, you can continue.
Okay. We will talk about Julian Alvarez as well. So,
Yeah, we will.
yeah,
We will.
talking about talking about who is possibly going to have a better international career overall if they don't win the World Cup. I have to say Ronaldo. Regardless of what Messi has achieved, and he's got a Copa America as well now, an international trophy. But the fact is that uh Ronaldo and Messi, it's tough, man. It's tough. Individually, Ronaldo, and just on statistical basis, but in terms of impact, I would say Messi, because of what he did in 2014 World Cup. I mean,
Yeah,
not a lot
yeah.
of players would have dragged a team into a World Cup final, and the way he had impact. I mean, he won the best player, and it was slightly debatable at that point of stage as well. But you know what? That guy was just on another level that year
I
in terms of
mean,
just look at the 11 which he had, right? He had
yeah.
Palacios, he had Lafesi, all these lads, not the biggest names, and still dragged them into a World Cup final. Demichelis, Zabaleta, all these lads, not the biggest names, man. To drag them into a World Cup final with that was just crazy. That's why I think it's tough, but on certain impact, Messi for the team, but individually on statistical basis, Ronaldo, because he's just been a freak when it comes to goal scoring ability for Portugal.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's pretty much it. The final segment that we do very
I
often
think we'll
here
talk
is
about
the
Julian
debate.
Alvarez because someone has
Oh, yeah,
requested
we have to talk
for
about
Julian
Julian
Alvarez.
Alvarez.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kerala cricket freaks. I mean, you usually ask about Sanju Samson, and tomorrow Sanju is playing. I think just to put it out there. Uh, but talking about Julian Alvarez, fantastic player, man. I've been following him quite closely since the time he was linked from Liverpool to Manchester City. Just want to know what this hype is all about. I remember one of the games where he scored 5 goals for Liverpool, and I was like, "Who the hell is this lad?" Because whenever an Argentinian lad makes big noises, that comparisons usually drop to the greatest, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
invariable that and inevitable that the comparisons usually do tend to get drawn up against the best. And whatever I've seen of Julian Alvarez in even in City and even in Premier League, whatever I've seen, He's a player who's got a long way to go. At the same time, who can make
Hmm.
huge impact off the bench. Young legs, gets into the right positions. It can be used even in the on the right hand side. It is very dynamic. His runs in the middle is so important, so vital. Gets into the right position. That's a very important trait to have for any striker, which this lad has got. Understands the game a lot better, and he will only go on to get better. Only very maybe certain areas such as improves his physicality, where I think will improve over years. But in this World Cup, just talking about particularly in this World Cup, he's a great option to have for Argentina off the bench. If someone you have to replace for Martinez, but I think it's going to be Joaquin Correa more often than not who's going to come and replace Martinez. But if you want to have to also have Julian Alvarez as a dynamic option, you can go in with, because he's someone who I call an X factor choice, who can come off the bench.
Fair enough then. Thank you, Kerala Cricket Freaks. We will most likely be coming tomorrow with the New Zealand match as well. That's something aside from the FIFA World Cup, because there's been some what do you say silence on the cricket side of things. But Abel, let's look at the Argentinian kits that we're gonna have in this year's World Cup. Not something new on the home kit front, which is a classic Argentinian t-shirt. There's nothing much there. Let's talk about this away jersey. Let's start there. I think let's just keep the home
Yeah,
kit away. It's pretty
my favorite away
standard.
jersey of this World Cup. Maybe
Yeah,
to come very close to Korea and maybe even Croatia as well. But that is a 10 on 10, man. That away jersey is a 10 on 10. Or maybe the first jersey we are giving 10 on 10, and even the classic away Argentina is a good blend as well. So just because of the away jersey, it's a 10 on 10 review, or maybe 9 on 10, maybe not yet 10, but lovely kit. I mean, what a that purple fire which they've got underneath that
yeah.
kit is just ridiculously good. And I want my hands on that jersey very soon. I hopefully get it as well before the World Cup. I just love that jersey so much. It's
Do
just
send me the
beautiful.
link. I would love
Yeah,
one too. I mean,
yeah,
that is
absolutely.
one hell of a jersey, man. Just for this, I want Argentina to go win the World Cup wearing the away jersey. Although that might not be the case, but it's just fire. That's the best way to put it. Pun intended, I would
Yeah,
say.
the jersey itself says how lit it is. It's fire
Yeah.
and it's just a lit jersey. Yeah, is what do you
It is.
call?
It is lit. I think they're throwing puns out there now. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us. It's probably the longest live ever. Hopefully, this is a longest live in the series of the football lives that we've done so far. Hopefully, this shows that Argentina has the longest run in the World Cup. But
See,
thank you
it's
so
just
much, guys.
7 games. If Argentina plays a seventh game and wins the seventh game, they win the World Cup. It's as simple as that. So that's how
I
Argentina
mean,
should possibly look at.
that's the understatement of the century, Abel.
The
Just
moment they defeat
it's
Saudi Arabia, they will equal Italy's all-time record of the unbeaten longest
yeah.
streak, and from there on, it's history beckoning them, is what I believe. If I have
Yeah,
to
I think
give
Scaloni
prediction,
has just played that UAE match on purpose. I mean the yeah UAE match on purpose because he just want to extend, make it easier coming to the World Cup to make sure that the run goes on, some legacy at least. Uh,
yeah, a lot of teams are playing, but it's good. At least to go to Middle East and get a
it
game
is.
under
It
the
is.
belt. And if I have to give
In those
prediction,
conditions, I think that's more important.
I think this is the year. It is what it is. I have
Man,
a
I mean, I have
hunch.
been I wouldn't say I've followed football as much as you have, able, but I think Messi transcends the sport. For me, he is the man because there's something about this guy. There's a lot. I know people say that Ronaldo has gone through a lot and many of those things, but this guy is just pure talent. And it's also there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. I would say because Messi, I feel he's been through a lot. He's been through his own shares of problems as well. But one thing about Messi is he's a champion, he's a winner. He always wears that smile on his face, and that's the reason why I love Messi. I'm out and out Messi supporter. I know Ronaldo's stocks has fallen, and this probably seems me speaking in hindsight, but I've always been a Messi fan over Ronaldo. And but yeah, I want Messi to go on to win the World Cup. It's one of the first World Cups able where I'm supporting a team. I'm not someone who supports a team. I like chaos. I like one side fans being upset and one side fans being happy. I put my feet on both the boats, but I think this time around it is Messi's World Cup, yes, but football is a cruel sport, as they say.
Yeah. I mean,
We've
it's
seen this
not
is
like football owes anything to Messi, right? It's not like anybody owes anything to anybody. That's a sport.
yeah,
Sport owes
yeah, you would
nothing to
say, but
anybody.
it would be the
Yeah,
story
for an
of a
emotional angle,
lifetime,
yes,
right?
you can say, yeah, football owes this to Messi, but ultimately Argentina have to play well. But
Yeah,
if I have to say my hunch, I don't know. I don't even have this for Indian I'm not being any biased over here or anything. I have a feeling, man, they're playing that final. I just have a feeling they're playing the final in Lusail Stadium on 18th of December. I don't know which way the result is gonna go, but I think it's this is the year. This is the
I
year
mean,
for
man,
Argentina.
I tell you, if Messi does play the final, there's going to be a section in Kerala and section in Qatar where Malayalis live that is going to go crazy. But
Yeah, I mean,
even if
nobody
they're
knows,
not paid,
man.
even if they're
I
paid
mean,
or not
whatever
paid
you say,
$10,
whatever you call them fake fans or not, but let's be very honest. Malayalis and Messi, just go to Kerala, just go to northern part of Kerala or anywhere in Kerala during World Cup. You will see more posters of Messi than what you see in Rosario. Messi is a god. If he's not accepted in
yeah,
Rosario, he's accepted in Kerala for sure. That's what let's like. That's
absolutely.
unbeatable over
And he
there.
doesn't even need to win the World Cup. So,
This is
Messi,
it.
if
I
you're
mean,
listening, if you're watching, if you fail to win the World Cup, if you feel Argentinians are not able to recognize what you have contributed to your country, Kerala definitely will accept you. The Kerala Blasters might just want you there.
I mean, not
You
Kerala
never
Blasters.
know.
I think he can settle for the rest of his life in Kerala. He
I
will
mean,
have a
will Messi? Do
statue.
you think, on a very fun note, do you think Messi will ever come and play in ISL? And if he does, will he play for Kerala Blasters, which by the way, borrow their colors from Brazil?
Firstly, I don't think Messi's ever coming to ISL. Secondly, when we talk about that, it's just such a ridiculous thing. I think Messi, if he's going to end his career, he'll possibly end maybe after a couple of seasons in MLS or even Barcelona for that liking. He's definitely not going to go to any other team. Maybe possibly his hometown
I think,
team.
yeah, I think he might just finish his career at home. That's probably
Newell
what I
Old
expect.
Boys. That's where he might just
Yeah,
end up his career in,
yeah,
and it's a beautiful way to end your career there as well. But yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
interesting where things go from there on.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, you can download Boomer 11 on Apple App Store and Google Play Store. I always get confused between the two. But thank you so much for joining us. Once again, we'll be back tomorrow with a different team. And also, guys, remember on the cricket side of things, India is back in New Zealand. Two teams who will be hoping to lift the trophy in this T20 series and forget their World Cup. Something at least for us, right? But thank you so much,
Yeah,
guys, for joining once
we will
again.
talk about it.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Abel. Hoping we will be covering the World Cup. World Cup is very close. As I said, 2 days to go. It is right here. You can smell the excitement in the air. And if you're in Qatar, you can smell the green, as you would say. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye bye, guys. Have a good time.